Welcome to this month's Mayor's Update. This is a For Your Information program where Waterloo's mayor gives insights into what's going on in Waterloo. I'm William Kay, today's moderator, and you're listening to KBBG 88.1 FM Waterloo. And now I'm pleased to introduce Waterloo's mayor, the Honorable Buck Clark. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
William, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's turned crisp again outside, a little winter chill, but good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and hopefully we'll see a lot of sunshine.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I want to just congratulate you on sacking Mayor Cruz in the Salvation Army pot contest. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's 5 years in a row, William, that we've done that. Well, you know, gosh, I can't remember her name now. The former director of the Salvation Army came up with that idea a few years ago and offered it to Mayor Cruz and I to have a ring-off, if you will, for the Salvation Army, and we each do it at our respective locations once a year for a couple of hours. And obviously there's competition between Mayor Cruz and I, but the winner, the clear winner of this is the Salvation Army. And we have gotten to the point where we raise some pretty good money for for a couple of hours that we stand out there. Of course, John and I both do a little soliciting prior to our time standing there ringing the bell, but John was a lot closer this year than he has been in the past, so he's gotten with the program. And but I still prevail. Waterloo still prevails.
Still prevails, and it's just unfortunate you didn't get the gold coin.
Yeah, I wish that we could, but it's fortunate that John didn't get it too. So so anyway, it's all in really good fun, and John and I have a good time with that little challenge. And again, the Salvation Army is such an incredibly wonderful organization that really does a lot of good in both of our communities. So to be able to help them is just a joy. I will say that last year, I think the day we rang the bell was one of the coldest days in the year. It was bitterly cold that day, and it was a struggle, quite honestly, to stay out there, which makes you give homage to those folks that do it on a regular basis, and they'll stay out there for 6 or 8 hours doing that. This year was a lot warmer, and it was very pleasant.
Yeah, and besides the bell ringers, there's lots of volunteers that work with food preparation
Yes.
and food serving and
Oh my gosh,
all
yes.
kinds of things.
Oh heavens, yeah, lots and lots of people. It's a wonderful organization.
And so it is. Just to change things a little bit on weather, I noticed that garbage collection on Tuesday was canceled because of wind. Who makes that determination?
You know, I get asked that a lot, and we get blamed a lot, and we get lots of calls every time that happens. But I would like everybody to know that's within earshot of this message is that the city does not make that call. The call is made by the manager of the landfill, who is an independent contractor that works for the people that manage and operate the landfill. The cities have no say in that whatsoever. And from my understanding of that, William, it's a little bit of a geography issue that right now the cells, as they're called out there, are relatively full. The landfill has bought just another, I don't know, 60, 80 acres, something, a relatively large site. So they're going to create some new cells out there. But right now, when the garbage trucks go out there, they are dumping like on the top of what has been filled and filled and filled. So when the wind is up, if a garbage truck opens its lid and dumps, and it's windy, then that garbage blows a lot. Blows out into the highways and the streets and the farms, and it makes a mess. We should have much fewer incidents of closed landfill, closed garbage pickup after they open this new cell. We will be filling that from the bottom. So when they're down in the bottom of one of these big cells, there's a lot more capacity, a lot more wind protection, so that we should not have as much frequency of the landfill closing as we have had in the past. But that's totally out of our control.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, because most of us think it's about the local garbage collection, which is the problem. And
it has nothing to do with it.
And I might mention that you, anytime you have a disruption of service for any reason, you can call the Department of Waste Management. That's 291-4455.
Yep.
They'll give you an update as to when the garbage will be collected, or any information that you want about that.
And we try, you know, it's kind of like school closings, William. We try I say we, and it's not us, it's the landfill, but they try very hard to get that word out to the consumers, to the citizens. But, you know, they kind of wait till the last minute, and they go a little bit by the forecast. And you know, I noticed the other day when it was closed, it was announced on KWWL, but You know, a lot of people have already left. They've gone to work or gone to do this or that, so they don't know it. But it's a terrible inconvenience. We understand that, and from a pickup standpoint, we try to do the best we possibly can to make that as less inconvenient as possible.
Yes, I know, and if you don't have children, sometimes you're just not in tune with listening for announcements.
That's true. Very true. Yeah, a lot of people don't get up that early either. So.
Quite possible. Well, let's talk about another thing. There was an article in the paper about the TechWorks, and I understand that there's been some concern about the developer. Tell us about the TechWorks, what maybe some of the plans are, and where we're going with that.
Well, the TechWorks is a you know, you go way back with the city.
I do.
We talked about the Riverfront Renaissance program for years and years and years and years, till people got tired of saying Riverfront Renaissance. You know, that eventually, finally, all came to fruition with everything that was planned down there. The amphitheater, the upper plaza, the river walk loop, the public market, the expo grounds, all of that came to fruition. It took us a long time, but it was a great project. It is a great project when it's done. The TechWorks has kind of become that replacement for Riverfront Renaissance. TechWorks is a big deal. It's a big project. It will mean a lot to the city of Waterloo when it finally becomes a reality, and we still firmly believe that it will. John Deere has a big part in that project. With their museum is now open. They will have a large presence in what is the Tech 2 building, the area where there's going to be a hotel. That now the room capacity of that hotel is up to 160 rooms. It started out at 90 some, and because of demand, it's up to a 160 room hotel. Deere has committed as much as Deere will. Deere likes to not sign any contracts or commit to anything, but that they're going to take a large space of training space in that space, in that hotel, in that building. And the Tech 1 building is where the 3D printer is. There's a commitment from there, from some of our educational outlets to get that. So when that campus gets open, it's going to be a very big deal. What has happened is the two primary investors in that project, and I'm not saying anything that hasn't been printed, is Rodney Blackwell and Roy Carver. Rodney Blackwell's name will probably not be recognized by many. Roy Carver is the carver of Carver Arena. Hawkeye Carver Arena is a very, very wealthy individual in the state, as is Mr. Blackwell. They have partnered on many, many very large, very expensive projects. They own quite a bit of property in Waterloo, individually and together. What has happened is there are, you know, as often happens when you have two very important people that are very wealthy with very large egos, they have had a falling out over something. So there was a lawsuit filed that started on Mr. Carver's side, suing Mr. Blackwell, making some accusations that, as you can well imagine, Mr. Blackwell vehemently denies. Mr. Blackwell will countersue soon, if he hasn't already, on that project. We are very hopeful. We have met with Mr. Blackwell the first part of the week. City staff, his staff, Mr. Blackwell's staff, and the Cedar Valley Alliance staff have met. We are very, very comfortable that this project is not in jeopardy, that there will be, that it will continue. And while this is certainly something that's to be concerned about, we feel very comfortable that it will continue and that we will have a TechWorks project. I don't think there's any doubt now that there may be a delay, but there's been a lot of money spent that will be spent for naught if it doesn't go forward. There's a lot of promises and pledges that's been made on both sides, from the Deere commitments, the educational commitments, and from the investors' commitments, that this project has got a lot of momentum, and to stop it would be hard and bad, and I don't think it's going to. So I think that project will continue.
Well, it's interesting because the John Deere Northeast site, as we oftentimes call the Tractor Works, is one of the largest tourist attractions probably in the state. And John Deere's presence, they bring a lot of dealers in for training, dealers and dealer employees for training. And with this facility as an anchor, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that would give us a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Plus, I noticed that the Iowa Economic Development Authority has promised about a $12 million grant. And as you know too, as you had kind of alluded to, we have the Iowa Advanced Manufacturing Center there, the University of Northern Iowa's Metal Casting Center is there, and as you also said in December, I guess actually November, the John Deere Engine and Tractor Museum opened,
Yeah.
and that's going to be quite something. That's going to be a major attraction also.
Yeah, it is, and the relationship between John Deere and this campus is unavoidable. You mentioned they bring hundreds, if not thousands, of people in over a yearly basis. Customers who are waiting for their tractors to be built, and John Deere employees who are there for training. That will occupy that hotel. So we are very confident that the occupancy rate of that hotel is going to be very, very good. So there's just all kinds of reasons for that to come to fruition. And we believe that you're right. I mean, between the Northeast Site tours, the John Deere Museum that tells the history of John Deere as it relates to Waterloo. It's really interesting, and I hope people take advantage of that and go see that and take a tour of that facility. It's just incredible. There are items on display out there that go back to the first plow, you know, the first single edge horse-drawn plow. It's really a story of it's a story of John Deere for sure, but it's a story of John Deere in Waterloo, and it's just fascinating, and we believe is going to just add to that attraction for Waterloo to be a real destination for folks that bleed green and yellow.
Yeah, and John Deere history starts about 1918,
Yeah.
and the first tractor I think was produced in 1924, if my memory serves me
You're up in your
correctly.
history, yeah.
Well, I worked there for 30 years, I should have learned something.
I wondered what you did in your real life. That's
In my
good.
real life, yeah. I certainly did make a living doing the city
Yeah.
council.
So you actually got paid and had a paycheck and everything. That's great.
I actually did. No, and John Deere has been a tremendous asset to the
Yeah.
city, and I think a lot of the improvements downtown have been under the encouragement of John Deere.
Well, John Deere's commitment to Waterloo in the recent years, financial commitment to Waterloo in that Tractor Works is approaching $1 billion, and that's B with a B, $1 billion, in what they have invested in that tractor assembly plant. That could have been done in another state, it could have been done in Mexico or China or someplace. The corporation made a commitment to Waterloo that they were going to stay in Waterloo, and we are trying to honor that commitment with our own commitment that we're going to do everything that we can to upgrade Waterloo and to make it a vibrant and living city and create and provide quality of life things that those folks that want to come to work here for John Deere have something to do while they live here. So there's a commitment on both sides.
Well, I have to say, when I came to Waterloo in 1979, downtown Waterloo on Saturday morning, I don't think you could get a glass of water.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of venues now, of all
Yeah.
sorts now, that are downtown, plus public events and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
More to come, too.
Yes, and I should mention too that there are tours of the component works, the engine works, and the foundry, so it's not just the tractor assembly plant.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's it. And I would encourage anybody that lives here who hasn't seen the plant or doesn't work there, that it would be a good venture to go visit some of these facilities. They're really very, very interesting.
It would probably be hard to throw a rock very far and not hit somebody that doesn't have some kind of history with John Deere and Waterloo.
Yeah, in fact, I've been hit by a number of rocks.
Yeah, well, I get a lot of stones thrown at me. So far, none have landed, but they're certainly being thrown.
We'll talk about another issue too. In the paper, there was an article about improving the public record access for the city of Waterloo. As I mentioned before, we were talking, oftentimes if we watch the council meetings or visit the council meetings, there's a lot of resolutions and motions for which they're read, but we don't really know what's behind them. And this, I understand now, would give us an opportunity to see virtually everything that the council members see.
That's correct.
As they prep the meeting.
That's
Tell me a
correct.
little more about that.
Yeah, and I'll explain a little bit of the background of what you just told. It's a process, and with every item that is on a council agenda, there is an accompanying item that's entitled council communication. so that when our council members get their packet of information on Friday, they will have that agenda, and they will have all of the agenda items there, but they'll also have a packet of information that will explain what every item is about. And like you said, whether it's a hearing or a resolution or a further motion or something, there's a document that goes with that item that, as much as possible in a short paragraph or two, explains what that is about. The public does not get to see that. It's just too long, too lengthy to try to distribute those. What will happen now is that all of that information will be available on our website to anybody that wants to look at it. You can go to the website, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know exactly what all the steps are, because I get it on my computer, I just open it up and look at it. So I haven't gone through it, but I know it's there. And so I think it's a tremendous improvement in our attempt to be as transparent as possible and to provide as much information as we can to the general public. A lot of that stuff is such boilerplate language that the council is so used to looking at and reading, and it just goes by so quickly. And I'm sure there are people that say, well, what was that? This ability for people to go on our website and look at that supporting documentation will tell them what it's about if they so choose to go look. And that is a result, or not, result's probably the wrong word. Last year we undertook a major renovation in the council chambers, and there was some opposition to that, and there was some disgruntlement even amongst council members that we were spending the money to upgrade the council chambers. That was done by and large to provide this ability to go, quote, electronic. In order to provide this service, we had to have Wi-Fi in the council chambers, which we didn't have. We now have the ability to televise, as you know, from the basement. We did a lot of electronic upgrades. We didn't just make the thing look prettier, which was nice, but we did a lot of upgrades to that. And the results of that money that we spent in those upgrades are coming to fruition, this first being in the form of electronic communications that will allow the public to see the documentation on all those items that are on the agenda.
Yeah, very helpful. Not that anybody wants to go in and look at all of it, but if some issues pertain to you or you have a particular interest. And I think if anybody has any trouble getting into that, they can call the clerk's office. They will get some help on or advice on how to get into that system.
That's correct. The city clerk is the one that's in charge of all of that, and there, I can't remember now, but there's somebody in there that's really kind of specializes in this particular issue. So if anybody has any, if you'd like to get to it and you can't, call the clerk's office.
And although the information's in a phone book, if you just look up the city of Waterloo, Iowa, otherwise you'll get Ontario, Canada, all the phone numbers and all the department heads' numbers and so forth, and emails are there. So.
Yeah, and the clerk's office is 291-4323. So I mean, if you want information again for this electronic viewing of the council documentations, it's the clerk's office at 291-4323, and somebody can explain to you how to get there.
Yeah, in fact, if anybody has any questions, they should be able to look up a relevant department and get some help. You don't have to necessarily call the mayor's office for every question that you have.
No, you don't.
In fact, you actually get better service if you call departments directly. No,
that's absolutely true. And I have just an absolutely wonderful administrative secretary, Michelle Westfall, that I listen to her direct people and help people all the time that call in. They just want to call the mayor's office, but I can't help them. It's sanitation or streets or finance or planning or the police department or somebody. But yeah, but all of those numbers are listed. You're right.
And oftentimes you get very direct, very relevant help. Yeah. So that. I just want to mention too the Phelps Youth Pavilion, which is inside the Center for the Arts. It's a very nice addition to downtown, by the way, and very well attended. There's lots and lots and lots of visitors. Very interactive for kids in particular. They're having a New Year's party for the children with family crafts, snacks, games, and so forth. For information, it's like a $5 charge, but you can call 291-4490 by December 28th to participate in that. That would encourage families to great family activity.
You know, we've got Cammie Scully has retired from the facility down there, and Cammie did a great job for years and years and years with that facility and getting it to the point that it is. And the new director, Kent Schenkel, has just picked up without skipping a beat and is adding some things and adding some events and art and so forth. So the youth pavilion and the art center in itself is one of those gems that not everybody cares about. You know, not everybody cares about golf or baseball or whatever, but not everybody cares about the art center. But for those that do, we have a real gem there and something to really be proud of.
I think a lot of people don't realize that you can take classes in arts and, photography, and there's lectures, and not to mention changing exhibits, and sometimes there's crafts fairs and things like that. It's a very active place.
Very active.
Yeah, in fact, they've even got a nice restaurant down there too.
They do, and I thank you, William. I would encourage people. There's a little, I can't remember the name of it now. But anyway, there is, right in the center of the art center. There's a little boutique restaurant. They're very fairly priced. They've got great home-cooked, homegrown, I think, for the most part, food. They're open, well, as a matter of fact, they're open for breakfast now. I think they open at 7 o'clock, and they're open through lunch. And I would encourage somebody that wants something a little bit unique and out of the way, and there's some, what a great spot to go either look at art or sit out and look at the river and just have a nice little lunch.
Right, and you just enter the east doors, and it's very easy to find. This will be right in front of you. And there's an information desk there, by the way, if anybody needs to find out any information in person there.
Great plug. Thank you for reminding me of that.
I would just like to ask if you, I don't know if you're an expert on Haitian art.
William.
But maybe you could tell us a little bit about, we have apparently the largest Haitian art collection in the world.
We do.
And as a result, there was some discussion at the council meeting about some members going to Paris to work with that. Could you maybe talk a little bit about that?
I can talk a lot about it if you like. Again, there's a lot of people that really don't care whether we have the largest Haitian art collection in the world or not. In fact, it is quite an honor, and we have gotten it over the years. Again, Cammie Scully was instrumental. I think it predates her, actually, to getting that started, and just one thing has led to another, till we have a collection of Haitian art that surpasses any other publicly owned collections in the world. Kent Schenkel, who is the who is the director of the Art Center now, is the current president of the Haitian Art Society. There is an annual Haitian Art Society meeting or conference or convention, whatever it's called, somewhere in the country. It has been held, generally speaking, for the last few years somewhere in the United States. Other than a couple of years ago, it was held in Haiti. Our director has always gone to that. It was Cammie that went for years, and now it's Kent, and Kent has always gone. They go on a grant from the state Iowa Historical Society. Grants us an amount of money. I think it's $15,000 annually that we can use on virtually anything we want to, as long as it's related to the arts. The director has to get authorization or approval to use it for whatever, but travel to these kind of events is a very allowable expense.
Well, and actually the expense isn't a whole lot more than, say, going to Los Angeles or Ontario or something like that. So it sounds like a lot of money, but...
Well, and it's incredibly unfortunate that this issue has taken up so much time and space and air and everything else. You're absolutely right. If this conference would have been held in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or Dallas or something, I doubt that it would have gotten much more than a wink. It would have gone through with no problem. The fact that it's in Paris has caused a real uproar with a small group of people that are complaining very loudly. We did, through this process, I mean, there's a whole process that's been gone through here, William, and I don't want to get into all of it, but the fact is that this trip is, the money that goes to the state historical society actually comes from the National Endowment for the Arts. So that's where the money starts. Now, is that inevitably provided by somewhere the taxes that you and I pay to somebody somewhere? I'm sure it is. But you know, this is not general fund money that's going for this trip. And there's been a lot of question whether there's a need for us to go to this. I believe that there is. I believe that when we can be represented in Paris, France, little Waterloo, Iowa, with the recognition that we will get from this trip and from Kent Schenkel's presence at that conference, I'm not sure that you can really put a price on that or a value on that. There is a very good chance that Waterloo will host that conference in the very near future. That will bring, I think the last time, the attendance at these conferences is somewhere around 100 people. It's not 2,000 people, it's not a huge deal. But again, to have the national conference held in Waterloo, Iowa in the near future is a big deal to a lot of people. And it's very unfortunate that this issue has raised as much ire as it has.
Well, Ken is very much involved in the Haitian art. Apparently they have organizations that work with that. He's very active in that and very knowledgeable apparently on that sort of thing. Yeah. And as Darrell Taylor, director of the University of Northern Iowa Gallery of Art, said in the paper, that museum officials need to advocate for their collections. Yeah. And we do that through conversing and networking. Said this is the very thing the Waterloo Center for the Arts should be doing. Yes. So there is some support for that. Yeah. And again, most people who don't know much about art may not appreciate the Haitian art, but it's a very viable collection, and it's very interesting if you really take some time to study it. Yeah, it is all of those things, William. And again, you know, if we were paying for this out of local option tax, or I'm sorry, not local option tax, out of the general fund, that would be a different story. Sure. You know, and there's been mentions made that, well, we should use this money to put towards police and fire and stuff. We can't do that. This is money that is to be used for the arts. There's also been comments made that we should put it towards other arts, local artists and so forth, and we can, and we do. I mean, this is $4,000 out of $15,000. I'm sure that the rest of that money is going to be spent on lots of local things. Yes, that's true. Well, just one final thing. We've only got about a minute and a half left. We are buying the former Hostess Bakery plant, and no particular plans to demolish it this time?
No, there are no particular plans, William. And again, there are people that are quite upset with us for doing that. That building sits squarely in the middle of all of our downtown development. We feel very strongly that this purchase is worthwhile, if for nothing else, on the short term, to control the destiny of that location. What a tragedy it would be if Flowers quit paying taxes, it went to a tax sale, somebody bought it for a couple of $100, and then it sits there for the next 20 years, empty and dilapidated. Or almost even worse, the wrong company would buy it, or the wrong person would buy it and put something in there that would be totally non-compatible with what we're trying to do downtown. This is money very well spent for us to have control of that building.
And really it is. It's right by the front of the Center of the Arts. Yep. It's right between all the facilities that we have that are improving downtown. And I think you're right. It just at least stabilizes.
Yeah. It stabilizes is a good word.
It's a good word, yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. We've been talking to Mayor Buck Clark on this For Your Information program, Mayor's Update. Thank you so much, Mayor, for being here and spending this time with us. We really appreciate that. I hope you now, our listening audience, has gained some insight into what's going on in Waterloo. Please be sure to join us next month as we continue to discuss issues that affect you, the citizens of this city. Mayor Clark, as usual, we thank you for your service.
Thanks, William.
I'm William Kay, and you've been listening to KBBG 88.1 FM Waterloo. Thanks so much for listening, and good day.